So welcome everybody to the weigh-in for the Golden Contract, the MTK Golden Contract semi-finals at Featherweight and Super Lightweight. I'm Andy Clark, and joining me, Matt Macklin and Johnny Nelson. Some very interesting fights to look forward to. We've got the faces of the players on the backdrop behind us, and interesting selections were made at the draw earlier in the week. There was the golden ball, which introduced a different kind of element to it, so whoever drew that out got to pick whoever they wanted of the other three fighters, and that's always it's a big moment, isn't it? Because if you draw out that golden ball, that's great because you get to choose, but you then actually have to choose, and it's a big call to make. And the main talking point, I think it's fair to say, was Ohara Davies drew out the golden ball for the super lightweights, so he had the choice of Tyrone McKenna Mohamed Mimoune or Ofori, and all the talk around the tournament had been that the first chance they got, either him or McKenna, they would pick each other, but he didn't. He went for Ofori, and you can understand why, Johnny, can't you? Because Ofori's the least experienced fighter in the field.
You're putting us all in a position here because all the fighters are actually in the room right now, so we've got to talk about them. But you know, it's what you see, and of course you look at Davies, you look at Ofori, and you think you would probably make that choice, because the others that are left on the bill, the others that you've got to fight, it's going to be a tough ask. So you want to find your route to the final as easy as possible. No disrespect to any of the fighters, you've got to find that route. What you think is, don't listen to your ego, listen to your brain, listen to the smarts. And so I can understand the choice, I can understand the shout.
But for Ofori, it's you know, he's a great story because he came in at a day's notice. He'd taken a hard fight in Liverpool a week beforehand against a good fighter in Jed Carroll, away from home. Probably the plan was, if you were the organiser, that he was maybe going to lose that fight, and he won it. And then a week later, he gets into the Golden Contract, wins his fight, and now he's got a lot of notice. He wouldn't have known who he was fighting, but he won't care because there's no pressure on him at all. And that's a good position to be in, isn't it, always?
Yeah, I mean, everything for him now is a bonus. You know, he didn't expect to probably get this far. Like you say, got the win against Jed Carroll, then he's in this tournament, gets the win, and now all of a sudden he's in the semi-finals, and now his confidence will be sky high. His self-belief will be growing all the time. He's very much in a no-lose situation, no pressure on him. So he's in a great position.
And when you look at that other fight at super lightweight, it's a really interesting one between Mohamed Mimoune and Tyrone McKenna. And these are two we know both of these pretty well, because Mimoune we saw beat Sam Eggington with a good performance. That was at welterweight to win the European title. McKenna we saw in the quarterfinals. We've seen a couple of other times as well. And Mimoune's the most experienced fighter in that super lightweight field. He's got the most pedigree with that European title, albeit at the weight up. But he also had a final eliminator against Victor Postol. Had an interesting time of it in the quarterfinals against Darren Surtees, going down early. But with McKenna, what we've always known about him is that he loves to get involved. He loves to have a tear up, as he would describe it. But in his quarterfinal, he got hurt to the body quite early and then boxed. And he's going to have to box against Mimoune, isn't he?
Mimoune looks like he's got class act after being down, but massive support with him when he performed the last time. Now he's thinking, right, I've got to get in there. He has the skill to find the body, to find the shots, to find the openings. I think Mimoune's the one that you just keep an eye on him. He's the one that he has the skill. Will the skill, or will his? I think his attitude got him put down in his last outing, and that's why now he's got to be totally switched on. Don't play to the crowd. He's got to get in there, think of who's in front of him. In doing that, then you'll see his skills come through, working to the body, and that's what he wants to hunt.
Well, as if by magic, trainer of Tyrone McKenna and also Tyrone McCullagh has joined us, Pete Taylor. You've not been together too long. It's the first fight the two of you have had as trainer and fighter. And what have you seen from him in camp?
Which one now?
McKenna, Tyrone McKenna.
Yeah, no, we've got our Tyrone boxing a little bit more. Like I said, he was getting involved too much into wars, so we're trying to get him boxing a little bit more now. So I think you're going to see a big change with him.
And Matt, as we were saying to Johnny there, it's probably something you can identify with. You could definitely box, but you also like to have a fight, and it's important you get that balance right between the wanting to please the crowd and making sure you win.
Yeah, it's good to. Every fighter needs fighting heart, and everyone's got that fighting instinct, and some days you need that. you know, and might bite down on the gum shield and dig out a performance. But if you're a good boxer, sometimes there's a time to fight, there's a time to box. And I think tomorrow night it's important that Tyrone sticks to his boxing. He's tall, southpaw, nice got good reach, good jab, and he's a good, very nice technical long-range boxer. I think it'd be a mistake to get dragged into a fight here. So, you know, hopefully he doesn't do what I did loads of times and let the heart rule the head. Hopefully he boxes to instructions, he has his game plan, and he sticks to his tactics.
I do wonder what it's like for the trainer during fight week for this, because we talked about how the draw makes things different. You don't know who you're going to get. So from your point of view, how do you go about, because you've got two fighters in this competition, how do you go about preparing them for different styles? Because there are a lot of different styles in this, at featherweight and at super lightweight. So Mimoune, for example, what have you been doing since Tuesday with regard to him? Anything?
No, for me it was like, you know, I was an amateur coach for so long, and you never know who you're going to box in the amateurs when you go away to the championships. So we had a variety of sparring partners anyway. I'm lucky enough that most of Tyrone's spars have been against Gary Cully, who's a tall southpaw anyway. So, you know, we've been well prepared for this lad anyway. So we've know what it is. Like I say, for us it was just like getting ready for an amateur tournament. You don't know who you're going to box. So, you know, just sparring different people all the time. Then since we've got the draw, then it's just doing pads to correct everything that we have to do for the fight night.
And so on to your other fighter, Tyrone McCullagh. It was interesting yesterday at the press conference. There was quite a lot of back and forth between the featherweights, but generally speaking, apart from his entrance alongside the other Tyrone, he kind of stayed out of it really. The conversation was really between Leigh Wood and Jazza Dickens, and Ryan Walsh had the odd comment to make as well. But Tyrone's, he's an interesting fighter, because I have seen a few people make him the outsider of these four, but I'm not that sure about that myself. He's going to be very difficult to beat.
Yeah, Tyrone's unique. He started to get sparring for someone who's going to spar against him, fight against him. So he's unique. So and Tyrone's quietly confident. You know, we had a similar boxer in camp in David Oliver Joyce. So he's had a lot of sparring with David Oliver Joyce. So you know, he's just quietly confident, and you don't need all that talk. You know.
Okay, well, it's an interesting fight that. Ryan Walsh, of course, got the golden ball, and he picked out Tyrone McCullagh. He's a very experienced fighter, Walsh, a kind of crafty fox of a fighter, so he obviously feels that he's got the experience to track him down. Pete, thanks very much. We'll just pull in Derry Matthews, part of Team Dickens, of course, and for most people, that's the kind of standout fight, I think. Possibly of all four is Leigh Wood against Jazza, and I don't know how much of it you saw, but they had an interesting conversation yesterday. They had an interesting face-off as well, and Jazza was talking about how he beat him in the ABAs 10 years ago, and how he's kind of flown under the radar and not really been done any favours. I mean, you see him all the time. What do you expect tomorrow night?
I think that's just part and parcel of what Jazza is. Listen, he's a fighter, tremendous fighter, and tomorrow night I think we'll see the best Jazza Dickens. He's had an excellent camp with George and myself, and we're ready to go. It didn't matter who we got. I think Jazza was one of the fighters who wanted to be picked. So, you know, it basically has been picked. It was down to the last two at the box, so we're ready. Jazza's done everything right in camp, and there's no excuses.
It is an interesting matchup, because when you look at their experience, Jazza's boxed at the higher level. Generally at super bantamweight, of course, challenged for a world title, won a British title. But Leigh Wood's got some good momentum over the course of the last 12 months.
Yeah, he has. He's a tremendous fighter. He's a very good fighter. And as Jazza stated yesterday, that just because Jazza's been under the radar, it doesn't mean that he hasn't been doing things right in the gym or on the road fighting. You know, on non-Sky TV shows, he's been boxing. He's been active. He's had excellent sparring with Kid Galahad and the other lads we have around the gym and around Liverpool, and we're ready. Jazza's ready. He's done everything what's been asked of him by George and myself, and we're just ready for tomorrow night now.
Okay, Derry, thanks very much. We'll just have a quick chat with Michael Walsh, one of the three Walsh brothers. First of all, Matt, what do you make of that? What do you make of Ryan Walsh choosing Tyrone McCullagh? Because you've got three people in front of you there, and probably not too easy a decision, but you know, you've got to be confident in your ring generalship, I think it's fair to say, to choose someone like him.
Yeah, I think Ryan's probably the favourite in that weight division, in that side of the tournament. He's You know, he's the most experienced, probably the most rounded fighter as well. And who would say Tyrone McCullagh is probably the least experienced, the least proven as a professional. Certainly, obviously, he was a decent amateur, but so I can see why he picked him. You know, Leigh Wood's got great momentum, as you say, good current form right now. Jazza Dickens, very awkward, crafty southpaw. You know, Tyrone's an awkward southpaw too, but probably not as proven as Jazza. So I can see why Ryan picked him. You know, and he's the favourite in that fight, I think, and rightly so. But I think Tyrone will certainly make it awkward for him.
So, Michael, it was interesting at the press conference yesterday. There was quite a long chat between the featherweight division, and what I found interesting about it too was that Ryan seemed to manage to take the kind of senior statesman role, if you like. There was a lot of respect for him on that table, and he didn't really get drawn into anything. I mean, you see him as the number one man, obviously.
Without a shadow of a doubt, I honestly can't. I just can't see him losing this competition. I cannot see it happening. And in the camp, all the way through camp, he's been unbelievable. So, really, really confident. And it weren't down to Ryan who to pick. He did listen to all his team. Otherwise, he was happy to get him with any of them. But we thought the best bet was Tyrone, because then Leigh and Jazza could knock the miles off each of his clock, and you get more props for beating the winner out of them two as well. Anyway, then, don't you? So, yeah, I think it's all gone the right way.
What do you think of that other semi-final matchup, Wood against Dickens?
I'm backing Dickens. I am. Yeah, I think Dickens can do it. Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, let's bring you on that one, Johnny, because you know Leigh Wood, because he was at the Ingle Gym for a long time. Good momentum built over the last 12 months. He's stagnated a bit, I think it's fair to say, but since last March, really, he's been on a bit of a charge.
I think most of the fighters on the bill would happily, if it was up to them, box whoever they wanted, whoever they could, just to get through. The rest of them, it's about tactics. You know, they've got to pick the right opponent. I think maybe Jazza's probably the only one that would be happy to get in with anybody and get that job done. For Leigh Wood, he needs to make sure that every fight he just gives just enough until hopefully he gets to the part of the final. So yeah, it's what I see from his skill. We've seen this guy, the boxing ability he's got. There are bigger punches, but when it comes to boxing and technique, then you've got to look. I'd match him and Walsh when it comes to technique, and I think that's the one I'd keep an eye on, because you're looking at the two skilled fighters, but then the rest is a lot of brawn. So it'd be interesting and intriguing how it unfolds and who ends up in the final.
Well, the temperature's rising in here quite literally, because all the fighters are making their way in. They've just got a few minutes before they get on the scales, and they could get back out and rehydrate. And it's a bit of a twitchy time, isn't it? Generally, you three would all know. I wouldn't. You just want to get on there and make it now, and then get off.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to get the weight out of the way, rehydrate, refuel. But I thought Pete Taylor made an interesting point. He's preparing this like an amateur contest, like a multi-nations tournament. You go away, you're boxing internationally, you weigh in the hotel, and then you get the draw. You don't know who you're going to box. It could be, I don't know if there's 8 or 10 or 20 in the weight in the World Championships. It could be 30 odd in the weight, whatever it is. And you have to be prepared to box a tall southpaw, a short southpaw, a come forward fighter, a banger, someone who can't punch, but you know he's really physically strong. You've got to be prepared mentally, tactically, to fight any opponent. I think you don't really see that as much in professional boxing, because you have 8 weeks notice and this kind of thing generally. But this tournament, I think that's one area that makes it kind of really exciting and a bit intriguing, because you kind of have to be a mixed bag in preparation. You can't just have specific sparring partners for one style. You've got to kind of be ready for anything.
Just before we let you go, Michael, you're back, aren't you? You've decided that you fancy this again.
Yeah, I don't really fancy it too much again. I'm still with my little boy. I'm getting through his journey, so he's having his last operation in 6 months. If I can fight for my brother Ryan's vacant British title, if he fair cares, then within 6 months that's what I'll be doing, and then I'll be calling it a day. But yeah, I'm just backing my brothers at the minute anyway. That's what's most important, and I'm looking forward to it. Ryan's done all the work, been away a long time, so I'm expecting the best fight in Walsh you've seen. And I think from the last fight with the Cuban, he's just moved on again from there. So yeah, I think you're going to see the best of him, and everyone will watch his space. He's the winner of this competition.
Okay, thanks very much. So we'll just sidle over back behind the camera now. I think we'll get on with the way, and I think we're pretty much ready to get started. Terry Kavanagh, our MC. As I say, all of these lads just want to get on, make the weight, jump back off, And in my experience, generally get down to Nando's, Johnny. That seems to be pretty much where people head for.
Talk about work under pressure. You've made everybody discuss the tactics, discuss who they're going to win, while everybody's in the room as well.
I love it, though. I love it. It doesn't give us anywhere to hide, does it?
You've got to
give it. This is about opinions.
On the spot.
This is about opinions. This game. You have to give opinions. We can't all just sit on the fence all the time. That's no good. So Ohara Davies just wandering in. And they've all looked pretty good weight-wise this week, actually. We saw them on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, today, and you see faces change over 2 or 3 days. That's what I always noticed. Mood hasn't changed too much, so as far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone's particularly tight.
I mean, these days, not everyone, but a lot of fighters are doing a big water cut the last week. They're depleting the carbohydrates, they're water loading, and then the 24 hours prior, they're taking the water out, hot bath, saunas. It's a very unpleasant process. You feel like, I'm not going to swear, but you don't feel good at the weigh-in at all.
Not in the best of moods.
So you can be a bit edgy, a bit grouchy, and once you get the weigh-in done, you can't wait to get that drink, that rehydration back into you, get the salts, get the sugars back in, carb up, and come tomorrow night, they'll feel like different men.
Okay, well, let's let them get on with it. Over to our MC, Terry Kavanagh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on Sky Sports Boxing's Facebook and YouTube channels for today's weigh-in for the semi-final stage of the coveted MTK Global's Golden Contract Tournament with the featherweights and the super lightweights. This event is brought to you by Mr. Leigh Wood for MTK Global in association with Mr. Eddie Hearn for Matchroom Boxing and Top Rank Promotions. We are live tomorrow night on Sky Sports Action from 7:30 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are going to get down to business. We are going to welcome our first bout out to the scales. Up first, we have 10 rounds in a super lightweight contest, and welcoming to the scales, Jeffy Ofori.
So Jeff Ofori naturally is a lightweight, and that was what enabled him to jump on the scales at a day's notice for his quarter-final, make the weight, and jump off again. So this shouldn't be any kind of a problem for him. He was telling me during the week he's been eating steak and eggs. It's been great just having all that energy for training, with the extra few pounds over and above what he normally has.
9 stone, 13 pounds and 5 ounces.
9 stone 13, so that was never going to be a problem for him.
No, and just inside as well. So, but it's what he's going to be tomorrow night. I doubt he's going to put much on. Another guy's going to come in exactly the same, but might put 12, 13, 14 pounds on.
So he's going to be tight, Ohara Davies. He's brought a towel with him especially because he knows that he's probably going to have to strip off.
Or he just likes stripping off.
Well, speaking of a man who likes to strip off at his weigh-ins, Johnny Nelson, any excuse to strip off at your weigh-ins?
Well, shock the crowd a little bit. O'Hara's the guy that said, he wants to be liked again. He's a character. He's probably the biggest character out of the whole lineup. And he probably thinks, I'm bigger and better than this. So you've got a sleeping dragon there who thinks he can get this done.
Well, Ohara Davies insisting that Jeff Ofori and Bevis Allen, his trainer, move in front of the scales, but I don't think he really has any say in this, to be honest. It's up to the board. The board really need to just tell him to get on the scales here. Angel Fernandez just giving him a little clip on the arm. He's twitchy because he knows he's tight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's checked his weight, obviously, but probably not on these scales. So he's nervous here. You can see he's looking down, long stare. The official shaking his head.
So it looks like he's missed it.
If he has missed it, he's got nothing left to lose.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that he's maybe 4 or 5 ounces over, and he's now got an hour to lose the extra. 4 ounces, and he's got 1 hour to lose it. He looks dry as a bone there, so this is not going to be easy. I mean, one option you've always got, which people generally don't take, is you could just shave your hair off.
Yeah, but you know what? there are a few other unsafe options, and you know what? It's one of these cases where he's probably done everything possible to get down to the weight, because when it comes to weighing time, you don't want people to think you're struggling.
I remember for his quarter-final, he made it fine for his quarter-final, but he came and did a check weigh beforehand, and he was a little bit over, so I think he would have had to have gone away and done a little bit of work. But he made it first time of asking, but this time he's got to go and do something.
He's already done work. He's already been in a hot bath or a sauna this morning, maybe last night as well, had a shakeout. He's tight at the weight there. So, now you've got to go away and take another, even though it's another 5 ounces. That sounds like nothing to someone that doesn't know. But when you've already took maybe 8, 9, 10 pound out, 5 ounces isn't there. It's a lot.
There's nothing on his back. There's nothing on his midsection.
You can see how wet his tracksuit bottoms are as well. He's been sweating this morning.
And it was interesting actually at the draw, when we spoke to the fighters after the draw, when we brought them to the centre of the stage. Basically, one thing he chose to talk about was the fact that Ofori, it'll be easy for him to make the weight, whereas for me, obviously, it's February, it's kind of hard to make weight, and he just kind of put it in my head that maybe there was going to be a problem.
Of course, and so that is clearly a consistent issue. But then he's got to think future down the line, because when the stakes get higher, when the opposition gets tougher, you can't be struggling with the weight when you get on the scales, because you need every ounce of sharpness, of fluid and of strength when you get in the ring. But what he's doing now is it's causing chaos. He finds calm throughout chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a chat with Jeff Ofori now and saying that basically he's going to pay for his next haircut. Then he's irritated, irritable, which you're going to be when you make your weight fighters. They're hard work, and I understand why they are. And if you've then missed the weight and you've now got to go away and do some more work, but what he needs to do now is he's got an hour and he's togging up. So what's he going to go and run up and down the stairs or something? You wouldn't want to go outside because it's cold.
Yeah, that's what he's going to work out in. He's going to work in what you're seeing there, 3 layers on left, right, centre.
Apologies if any swearing just permeated the stream there.
Please welcome Mohamed the Problem Mimoune.
So the second semi-final with the super lightweights is Tyrone McKenna against Mohamed Mimoune. So this is Mohamed Mimoune. Not much left on him.
No problem. No problem.
And he's peering at that readout, nodding his head. Well, they just want him to keep his arms down and stay still for a second and let it settle.
He's a dark horse. He's a dark horse. When we're looking at the headline as your Leigh Wood, he's a dark horse.
9 stone 13 pounds and 10 ounces.
9 stone 13.10. So he's judged it perfectly. Makes the weight nice and easy. They had a little bit of hanging around to do. Now Tyrone McKenna's 6'1". I'm never quite sure how he does this, but we'll see.
From Belfast, Ireland, he is the reigning.
I think I took a bit of flack last time Tyrone McKenna boxed and said he was probably the weakest.
That was McCullagh. I think that was Tyrone McCullagh.
Okay. So now you look at the rest of them. It's what you see on the scale. For the height and the reach that he's got, to box, keep him long, but he can fight well on the inside.
9 stone 13 and 12 ounces.
9 stone 13.12. So he's made it, and 6'1", making 10 stone. That's a serious effort.
Yeah, no, he's extremely tall for a super lightweight, but he's very slim, very slender. He hasn't got a very thick trunk, has he? He's quite slight there, but and that's why his physique and his body suggests that he's made to box, and if he sticks to his boxing, he can make this easy. But if he stands and trades and lets his heart rule his head, then he's going to be.
But he's not a bad fighter.
No,
he's not a bad fighter.
He can fight, but he'd be better, I think, in this fight if he keeps it long and sticks to his boxing. Just keep it basic, straight punches.
So these two will just step in for the face-off. Ohara Davies has finally left the room, and just looking outside, it's cold today, and it's absolutely hammering it down with rain as well. So I'd imagine whatever work he is doing, he will be doing indoors. But enough of that now.
McKenna versus Mimoune.
It's such an interesting fight, this. It's a step up for McKenna. He's not been in with somebody of Mimoune's experience or pedigree before. It'll take a career best performance from him to get the win, and they're both in great shape.
It's a big opportunity for Mimoune to make a name for himself here on live on Sky Sports. He looks in great shape, and you can see he's clearly fired up, really up for this.
Yeah, he's worked on the promotional side of it too. Put out a video about a week or so ago that he'd done in the gym and in various locations, which was very entertaining. And it's really good to see fighters kind of embrace that side of it, really work at that side of it. So the featherweight weigh-ins now.
Representing Cromer, Norfolk, please welcome Ryan Walsh.
And this is Ryan Walsh against Tyrone McCullagh. Confident, sucking the lollipop. Graham Everett, trainer alongside him. Michael Walsh. Liam will be somewhere, not too far away.
Eight stone, 13 and 13 ounces.
Okay, so he shaved it by 3 ounces, but he's well practiced in this. He knows what he's doing. I'll tell you what always makes me laugh is when fighters step on the scales and they know they're tight. You kind of tiptoe on them, like it's going to make any difference.
Or breathe in.
Breathe in. Lift your arms up and tiptoe. It's ridiculous. So Tyrone McCullagh was at super bantamweight until this tournament, so he's had a bit more weight to play with than he has had for most of his career.
8 stone, 13 pounds and 5 ounces.
8 stone, 13 and 5. I think he's grown into it. I think he's grown into featherweight when you look at him there, because he was super bantamweight before, and there's nothing left on him there at all, though. So over the course of these 2 fights, he's stepped up that division.
Yeah, and possibly moving up in weight has given him more strength, more energy. Maybe he's not as big at the weight, but maybe he's a little bit too big at 122 pounds. So I think maybe stepping up to featherweight will actually prove to be a beneficial move for him. But I think he's in tough against Ryan Walsh, and a very experienced, very competent fighter.
Walsh highly ranked, British champion. He's got a British title defence scheduled for the end of March, which he intends to fulfil. He intends to get the win on Friday, and then 5 weeks later box and keep his British title, because the board weren't able to allow the British title into the golden contract because of the draw on the Tuesday, basically. They haven't got enough.
Which shows true confidence from a fighter. Every fighter will expect to win. But do they really believe, you know what, I'm better than you? Ryan Walsh is the one fighter I know, he thinks 100%, I've got this in the bag. Every one of them, they expect to win, or they'll try the hardest to win. He's one that thinks this is a walk in the park, as far as he's concerned.
Okay, that semi-final is maybe the most interesting fight of the 4. Leigh Wood up against Jazza Dickens. We had a good chat about this, and it was interesting seeing Jazza at the face-off yesterday, because he looked quite aggressive up against Leigh Wood, but it was all a bit of a game, I think. I saw him afterwards and he was very, very calm. It was a bit of mind games.
9 stone even.
Bang on the mark.
I think this is the most intriguing fight of the night. This is the this is the fight that we all want to see most. It's the one where we're split. Some people think Leigh Wood's going to win, some people think Jazza, and I think it's the one that it's the hardest one to call.
Featherweight champion and current British Commonwealth featherweight champion, please welcome Lethal Leigh Wood.
That was my favourite, but most amount of skill, not the biggest heart. I think the biggest heart is with Walsh, actually. Look at. So some fighters, they've got to feel comfortable and work off to success and get better as the rounds roll on. Skill-wise and abundant stuff, he has to feel like he's got himself into it, warmed into the fight. Then when he really fancies it, then he's unbeatable. Ryan Walsh is the one where you look at, you think, wow, you know, this guy from round 1, I've got this. Jazza, he wants some more. He wants to drag you into his kind of fight. And you fight his kind of fight. That's his world. That's where he feels most comfortable.
So they both made it. There's the WBO European belt over his right shoulder there, and the Commonwealth title. The Commonwealth titles are not on the line because the board wouldn't sanction the fight to be for 12 rounds. They left it at 10, so it can't be for the Commonwealth. Sky Sports hype belt he's got put on that belt there. It's all a bit of fun and games from the press conference yesterday, when Dickens was basically saying that Wood has had his reputation inflated due to the fact that he's been on Sky a few times, and Jazza hasn't. I think Jazza's like adept at little mind games. I think he plays it pretty well.
Yeah, I think this is the fight of the night. without a doubt, on paper certainly. Whether it lives up to be that in the end, but on paper going in, this is the fight of the night. Jazza, experienced, tricky southpaw, clever, very confident. Obviously Leigh Wood is in good current form, good momentum, but this is the fight of the night without a doubt.
Okay, well, let's just move back into the centre. Just on that last face-off there, Johnny. Do you think Jazza Dickens has got in Leigh Wood's head a little bit there?
Yeah.
Over the last couple of days, I think he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. And actually, when he walked in earlier, I think he was happy at how he handled himself with Ryan Walsh. But I think now he's got this close, and a man actually puts his hand on you. You can say whatever you want, but once he puts his hand on you and touches you, even playing with a belt, Leigh Wood doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to play at all. He's thinking, look, I'll walk the walk, but don't touch me, otherwise it's fight time. And so, yeah, Jazza, he's laughed his head up because some kids find calm in chaos. Jazza's one of them. So they create as much noise as possible. I'll tell you, Tony Bellew was one of them. He causes as much trouble as possible. And once you bet, you're in his world where he feels comfortable. Jazza's one of those fighters. He's got to get in your head. Going to wind you up. That has made him happy. That he's thinking, right, I've got him. And no matter what, he has actually got him to buy, got him to sucking him into his kind of fighting. That's what he wants. He needs somebody to try and fight him, not to box him. Because if Jazza if Leigh Wood boxes Jazza, it makes it easier for Jazza. It makes the fight easier if he tries to fight him. So Leigh Wood's got to box him.
Well, the room just emptying out and the temperature just lowering slightly. It's amazing how much hotter it gets in these weigh-in rooms because there's so much just tension, there's so much nervous energy. It's not quite over because Ohara Davies will have an hour from the time that he weighed in the first time to come back and make sure that he's got rid of that 4 ounces. He can come back as many times as he likes, but it's got to be within that 1 hour. So, I mean, there's some hard work going on there somewhere, probably just stomping up and down a few flights of stairs maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't anticipate that he won't get the weight off, but it's just a real pain in the backside to having already took the weight off, think you've got it right, checked on your scales, and then you've come in and it's a negligible amount, but it's still 5 ounces. You've still got to go back out there. You've got to get the body warm again. You've still got to sweat 5 ounces out. So yeah, it's not, he won't have. I doubt very much he's had something set up to do that here. So now he's got to maybe try and get a room off the hotel. Is there a spare room? Can he get into a hot bath? If not, is there a spare function room where he can run up and down and skip and just get a sweat on? So it's just a real inconvenience now.
You don't want to be having to exert too much energy to get it off either, because you're actually fine. You actually.
Sky Sports belts. That's it. Okay, well, so Leigh Wood's just come in to join us. Sky Sports gift. That's a Commonwealth title. What's that? We'll say Sky Sports hype belt. This is his WBO European title.
This is a TV reality star partner, so they're my belts. You know what I mean? They're my belts. They're what I've won. I ain't earned them. I've been given them. So that's what he called me yesterday.
Well, that's just a reference to the press conference yesterday when Jazza basically, as Leigh said there, said that he's been fortunate to get exposure on Sky Sports and that he's been given opportunities that maybe he hasn't earned. That's basically what he said, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically that's what he said. But I've had one chance before this in 2014 for a British title at the wrong weight. I've spent years in the gym with no fights, with no money. I spent a year with injury. I've managed to get away from the gym that I was at for 10 years, trained and managed. It was another time I didn't want to leave, and I did leave. I took a leap of faith, signed by Dave, and then I got an opportunity. Then I got another one, and I kept winning. I've not lost since.
Did that bother you, that line, the little line you dropped yesterday, for you to come back with this answer?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you know what I mean? That's what he wants to kind of belittle my achievements. That's up to him.
So, the kind of game you've been playing the last couple of days, I think it has been a game, hasn't it? Would you say it's worked well?
For me, I'm having a great time, I love it. I've worked so hard to be here, now it's here, trying to enjoy it, and that's just exactly what I'm doing. And the enjoyment starts tomorrow night, from when the bell goes,
Well, it's the fight that most people have picked out as probably being the pick of the four. Do you wonder if you've maybe let him into your head a little bit too much the last couple of days?
Been here before, time and time again. He was all saying the same thing last fight. Oh, it's good this. He dropped Frampton, he's beat him, he's done this. I was like, son, you're not expecting an hard fight. It'll be whatever fight I want it to be. That's bottom line.
Well, have you enjoyed the week?
I'm having a great time. It's only getting good now, Made the weight easily. I'm glad I made the weight easily because it doesn't look like he has. So yeah, look forward to tomorrow night, and if he has when you go back to the hotel tonight, just try your best to get me out of your head, and I'll have a great time here.
Okay, well, I'll let you two go because we want to make sure that we save everything for the bell tomorrow. So rest up, take it easy, you two, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Tyrone McKenna and McCullagh, both Tyrones, are just going to come and join us. Thanks, Jazza. Thanks, Leigh. I'll just give you... Yes, you can. There you go, indeed. So, I mean, you made an interesting appearance, you two, at the press conference yesterday as well. And it's good to see. It's good to see people putting a bit of thought into this. And, you know, you've got to grab that 10, 15-second snap. That's what it's about now, isn't it, on social media, getting people tuning in, getting people having a look.
I was just toning it down. We're usually crazier, but kept it civil for the Sky Sports cameras.
Well, it's always appreciated. So with regard to your two fights, we'll start with yours against Mohamed Mimoune. You both looked in great nick on the scales. I mean, me and Matt Macklin and Johnny Nelson kind of wonder how you do it, given that you're 6'1". How hard is it?
It's hard enough, but I don't think it's like it's as hard as it should be. It's not. I'm not overdoing it. I'm not struggling that much. I'm struggling like everyone else struggles to make weight, but I don't think it's a problem. I think I'll be at this weight for another few years anyway. Get the world title, that's it, hopefully. In terms of the opponent, one thing I do wonder about is you like to engage during fight week if you can, but when you're fighting someone who doesn't really speak English, it kind of simplifies matters because there's no point. Yeah. Like, you'd just be wasting your energy and wasting your own time. So this has been kind of maybe a bit more chilled out this week for you than normal. Yeah, that's why I planned a lot of things, like the Dumb and Dumber costumes and stuff, because I knew there would be no. I like a bit of banter at the week, and I knew there wouldn't be any with Mimoune. He doesn't speak English, so yeah. But I still feel that we'll get entertainment this week. The build-up is building up nicely. Everyone's excited about the fight. I'm very excited about the fight. I think it's going to be a great fight, and I'm excited to get on their way. Tyrone, we kind of touched on this yesterday, but at the press conference with the featherweights, the chat was between the other three, and you were kind of left out of it. But I know you feel that you could be the kind of that you're not bothered about that role. You could be the sort of silent assassin of these semi-finals.
I know what was it. Everyone seemed to have something to say to each other but me. I must have been a nice guy, but you know, less pressure. There's no needle there. Hasn't been much said between me and Ryan in regards to the fight. I think we both respect each other, and it's going to be an interesting one. I know obviously Ryan's heavy favourite, but I definitely believe I can upset the odds. So we were just talking to Jazza Dickens and Leigh Wood there, and ask you what you think about this too, because of your enthusiasm for trying to get under other fighters' skin. It's an interesting dynamic, that, because he was very convincing at the press conference yesterday, Jazza, that he was really wound up and aggressive during the face-off, but I don't think he actually was. It's just all designed to get under his opponent's skin. And how important is it not to bite in those situations? I'm not too sure. I'm usually a bit more. I'm not different in that regard to Jazza, so I'm relaxed, and you know, I would just flip the switch whenever you step on that ring. But I've heard stories about Jazza in the past, even in spars. You know, he would come out of the ring and not even speak to the sparring partner. After the spar, he would just stare at them and still try and psych them out. But that's just Jazza. You know, I think he can flip that switch just like that whenever he wants to. You know, he gets angry and then he laughs it off, and then he gets angry and laughs it off. It's just the way he is, and it's interesting, but it seems to work for him anyway. I'm really looking forward to that fight tomorrow night. I don't think Jazza should be a 3-1 underdog. I think even Leigh Wood would admit that. It's a bit harsh in the odds, but it's going to be a very interesting fight. I don't know how much attention you've been able to pay to that kind of to and fro, but it's kind of, I don't know, if we were to cast you as Tyrone McKenna, kind of doctor of psychology, what would you make of it? Well, when I do it, I just like to have that kind of. I don't like to go into a fight liking the fighter. I like to have a bit of grudge match. I like to create tension, and I think that brings out the best of me. So maybe that's what Jazz is doing. He doesn't like to have a friendly approach to the fight, and he wants to get under people's skin and get that needle going. So because that's what gets him up for the fight. So maybe that's what he's trying to achieve by doing that. I don't think he foolhardy means it all, but he just wants there to be some sort of grudge so he can
he can get in the zone properly.
Actually, another thing I need to mention is that there's still a lot of people here, and the reason there is because we're waiting for Ohara Davies, because he missed the weight by 4 ounces, and he obviously knew he was going to be really tight because he had the towel ready, and probably just hoping that these scales were a little bit more lenient than the ones he was checking himself on, and he's missed it by 4 ounces, which isn't a lot, but he was really twitchy, irritable. I mean, that's how you lads get during, when you're making weight, that's fine. But you could see that it just...
The humbleness leaving.
Yeah, well... I mean, but it's not ideal, is it?
No, 100% it's not. Even to show your opponent that you're struggling with it that much, no one ever likes to give that kind of information away. I mean, it can be vital for tomorrow that he might fade in the later rounds because he's cut so much weight. But I think he'll make a weight safely. He'll be 100% tomorrow, and we'll have a good fight with him, and hopefully we'll see him in the final.
So just one quick one on that before you go. When somebody misses it by 2 or 3 ounces, they pretty much get togged up and then go and run up the stairs, down the stairs, or whatever they want to do. The easy answer is just to cut your hair off, surely.
You'd think hair cut weighs that much? It weighs nothing. Or everyone would have skinheads around here.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that. So it just doesn't weigh enough. Okay, well there you go. I've always thought that would be the obvious out if you were just that little over.
3 or 4 ounces in a day away, and it mightn't sound like a lot, but if you're going out and putting gear back on to do something or anything, it's a lot. So it is. You barely have energy to make it to the scales. Never mind doing another session.
Okay, great. I'll let you two go because you want to go off and refuel and do all the things that you need to do. Just final quick word with you two. Basically everybody apart from Ohara made it, and it was all very finely judged. Everybody was making it by a matter of ounces. Jazza hit it bang on the nose, and so long as Ohara manages to make the weight. Speaking of which, we'll just pull in Jeff Ofori for a quick chat. Because you're the one who this affects most, and you and Bevis will hang around, Bevis Allen, and make sure that he does shave off those extra few ounces. I mean, were you surprised?
Obviously, he was talking about making weight at the Golden Ball draw, so obviously weight is a problem for him. But I'm sure he'll be able to make it. But on fight night, I'm going to test him to see making that weight last minute. It takes off out of him, so we're going to see.
And when he was kind of stepping onto the scales, he was insisting that you and Bevis came round in front of the scales, and he's right on the edge, isn't he? Because he knew it was close.
He probably hasn't eaten. He's just agitated, frustrated. But he's frustrated with himself. He's a professional longer than me, so he should have known, been on the way, and came in. And so he's got no one to blame but himself. So it doesn't bother me at all.
Well, you'll be hanging around just to make sure that he does make it. You'll have an eagle eye on those scales, I'm sure. So. Rest up the rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow night for a good fight, hopefully. And just one final word with you two. It's been good fun today. It's been good fun all week because we've got such a good kind of blend of characters, and most of them are gone now actually. So it's a bit easier for me to put you on the spot. I'll go with the featherweights with you because that vested interest you've got in Leigh Wood. Although obviously you're just going to call it as you see it. Wood against Dickens. What are you thinking?
I expect Wood to win. I think eventually we're going to see Wood against Walsh. Eventually down the line, I think Wood wins. I think Dickens is strong, is aggressive. But as I said earlier on, Wood is the kind of fighter where he's got an abundance of physical talent. But when it comes to that, he's got to be in the mood for it. He's got to grow into it and feel confident with it. Whereas Dickens is a fighter that likes to create chaos. He wants you to get into a tear-up. He will fight for 3 minutes of every round from round 1 through to round 10 or 12. That's the kind of fighter he is. I'd expect skills to pay the bills and put it off here, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong on this occasion. And I'd go with Woods.
Okay, so for the super lightweights, Matt, the Ohara Davies Jeff Ofori fight is an interesting fight. Obviously, as we know, Ohara's got to trim off that 4 ounces, but we do think that's maybe a more straightforward one to call. We'll have to wait and see. McKenna against Mimoune is less straightforward, and as we've been saying, a kind of intriguing fight. Do you think McKenna's got enough to take it up another level, or Mimoune's greater experience will show?
We're going to see, aren't we? That's definitely the tougher fight to call. I think Mimoune really up for it. He's bang up for it. You can see that. He's physically quite strong as well. If he can drag Tyrone McKenna into a fight, could be very interesting. I think McKenna really has to stick to his boxing, keep it long, double jab, straight backhand from the southpaw side. Don't get tied in that mid distance. Don't get tied up at close quarters, because Mimoune's physically strong. You can see how up for it he is. I think it'd be a mistake if McKenna allows himself to get dragged into a fight here.
Okay, thanks very much, gents. Thanks very much, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you do the same thing tomorrow night. We've got 2 great semi-finals at featherweight, 2 really good ones at super lightweight, MTK Global Golden Contract from York Hall.